Welcome, everyone. Those who are on the call, we're just going to wait another minute or two for others to join, and then we're going to begin with Maria and Matthew. Okay, everyone, welcome again to day 2 of the Packwalker Summit. I am joined today with Maria and Matthew, and they're going to be discussing how to integrate multiple packs and walking together. So without further ado, I'll go ahead and send it on over to Maria and Matthew. The floor is yours. Let me pause the music here. There we go.
Hi, everyone. I'm Maria.
I'm Matthew.
We're really excited to be here tonight and share. One of our dogs got up and was like, "Oh, what's going on?" We're really excited to share this topic and a little bit about ourselves. So I'll start first with a little bit about how I got started. I've had my business for almost 4 years. I did get my start with another pack walking business. Shasti with Three Musketeers took me on, and I was initially her client for my dog. I needed dog walking, and I saw she started to add dogs to the dog walks for socializing. And I thought, oh, my young puppy could benefit from that and get some socializing. It seems like a good idea. And from there, I got more interested in shadowing and learning how to walk multiple dogs. And it was still in the early stages, and we learned a lot together. From there, I also took training workshops and online curriculums to open my skills and apply it with the dogs. Because really what came down to it was having that hands-on experience with the dogs that really helped me establish a foundation for pack walking and looking up to a lot of established pack walkers like the Healing Pack. I really looked forward to one day having a very successful business like yours. And from there, I've just it's just been really great to have a community and share my passion for pack walking through this summit and sharing a little bit about that.
Yeah, I'm Matthew. My business started in 2020, just sort of happenstance. A lot of other people had the same thing in COVID where they were just kind of forced into a position. But I got my start with none other than Rachel and Andrew here. In 2018, I knew someone that was close to me that saw an ad and it said pack walker needed. They said, "Hey, we read the description. It seems like you'd fit this." And I was like, "Okay, I don't know what a pack walker is, but okay, like I need a job." And I went and met them, and I'm forever grateful that there was something in me that they thought would match up well with this field, because it's led me to so much happiness. It's led me to this lovely woman here that I'm in love with, and led me to a life living with dogs that, I think after doing it for about a week, I had this feeling of, wow, I think I could do this for a long time. I really enjoy this. I don't know that I could ever go back to working indoors, for example. It's forever changed my life for the better. And so I started working with the Healing Pack for a couple years, and then COVID happened, which of course changed things. And they were gracious enough to kind of allow me to keep my pack that I was already working with them. They said, I think it was in the summer. So I'm coming up almost exactly 4 years, but it was in the summer of 2020. They came and they said, I don't know when we don't know when, this whole COVID thing is going to finally open up for people and businesses to function as they once were. They're like, you seem to be doing a decent job. You might as well just keep going. And I thought, okay, like this is, which is definitely not the way I thought it was going to go. I'm the kind of person that's very, I take a very slow approach to doing things. And so even mentally working, it was always in my head that I would have to pursue something for several years before I would consider doing it on my own. I was brought up in a little different way. But, the world had other plans. I'm not the only one that was forced into a position, or no, I wasn't forced, but, fortunate enough to be able to keep working. And I continued on, and it's led me to a lot of great avenues. I love working with dogs, and I've loved so far the people I've met while working with dogs. Which brings us today's discussion. When I was approached, first of all, I felt very happy and grateful that you guys would think of me as someone to speak on anything with any sort of authority that someone would find worthwhile of their time to listen to. So thank you. At first, I was a little reluctant. I don't know if it shows. I'm not the best public speaker, and I don't know how to talk to a camera very well. But Maria was like, "Well, let's do it. We can do it together." And I was like, "Okay, thank you, Crutch. Let's do it." But we decided to do it, and we were bouncing around ideas. And she said, "Well, how about how we've integrated our packs together?" And I thought, "Okay, that makes sense. Us, you guys, I'm sure, we're constantly being asked by our clients, how do we do dog greetings? How can I have my dog meet dogs on a walk? How do we do it at the park?" And so we're constantly thinking about this. And so with this, it was like, well, yeah, that's a good topic. Like, how do we, but on a grander scale, how do we get our dogs, our entire pack? Like, how have we gotten our entire packs to the point where we can have a situation arise and she could just hand me a bunch of dogs? Because that's where we're pretty much at right now. Like we've gotten to the point to where, like last week, there's or a couple weeks ago, there's an incident where a little, and we've all experienced this, a little poop or puke action happens, and she had to move her car, make adjustments, but I said, "Here, hand me the dogs," and so I was standing there with about 20 dogs, but they had been around each other for so much the past 4 months, 5 months, that if someone were to walk by, in fact, we all experience, someone walks by and they go, "Wow, that's really amazing that you got your dogs to do that. They're so well behaved." And sometimes people think it's instant. At least in my case, they think it's instant or it's talent. And I mean, I try to tell people it's just practice. This is something that's built up over time. And it's no different than with us integrating our packs. The same things that I'll tell my clients, the same tips I give them to success of a good greeting is exactly what we use while integrating our packs.
Yeah. I would also add to that, for any other pack walkers that are tuning in, you may not have the opportunity to walk with other packs. We're lucky in Los Angeles that there's a large network of pack walkers, and I've had the opportunity to walk with a couple other pack walkers here and there and see what that's like to meet up, unload a bunch of dogs, get going on a walk. And it's different for everyone. And I think what's really cool is sharing how Matthew and I started it. Because it could have gone a bunch of different ways, but I think we started with no expectations and kind of just seeing what the dogs would show us without putting them to this high bar of like, I expect you to be on your best behavior and I'm going to follow through all the time and I'm just going to be super focused. Instead, it was kind of like, oh, I want to get to know you. I want the dogs to give me information and sense around and be like, we're somewhere new. There's other dogs. There's a bunch of them in one car, kind of like us. So it was really great to read that information from the dogs in real time and just be really easygoing about it and let go of that pressure, at least for myself, to not hold that expectation of like, it's got to be like perfect right off the bat, because it was a completely new experience. My pack had never met his. It was the first time in a new location, meeting up. So given all those factors, going in with little to no expectations and being present with the dogs, I found was really successful for myself. And I think Matthew could also
I
agree
mean,
with that.
when I'm walking in a neighborhood, if we're walking at the park, we have practice passing dogs of every energy level. So if there's someone walking by with 3 dogs, I'm sure you guys have experienced this, and they're yapping away, we can calmly just plop down and chill. And my dogs understand we're in a safe bubble. Like no one's getting through. We can chill as these dogs. We have all the practice in the world with that. But I knew going in that it had been not since walking with the healing pack had some of my dogs even been around dogs that closely.
Mm-hmm.
And so I can remember going in thinking, well, I can either take the route and go, I'm not going to talk to you, Maria, but I'm going to follow through with my pack, which is fine. That's a fine approach as well. These are all just different approaches. I'm going to follow through 100% with my pack. And then after we could talk, or I can take the route of saying, well, let me see what information my dogs give me about her dogs and about her, and just let them be a little more expressive. Also, I can let my hair down a bit more too. This is a social gathering for everyone involved, and so I can talk. There are certain things that are always non-negotiable that the dogs need to do, but a lot of other things, I did expect them to be a little excited, which they were.
Oh yeah.
But then again,
Unloading.
so was I. So was I. So I can't blame them too much. It wasn't until maybe the 4th or 5th walk that I started going, okay, guys, now, I'm going to have expectations because we've done this before. First game jitters are gone. Now we're creating a practice out of it, because it was, what started as once a week turned into twice a week, then twice a week turned into 3 times a week. And then I just jumped to 5 days. It was like, well, why not?
Yeah.
Why not just go 5 days a week? But creating that space of like, I want to see what the dogs show me first, that's just kind of my style of leading. I try not to ask of them too much, especially in a situation we've never encountered before. I mean, actually, there's been a few times, for example, walking in Hancock Park, I've seen other pack walkers, but they kind of will just like, they'll turn around and jet away. I'm like, hey, I'm like, friend.
Pack walker.
I'll be like, hey, I know that dog. I didn't take that dog. You got that dog. Sweet. But yeah. And so I didn't want to have unrealistic expectations of my dogs to just be perfect the way that they are in some other situations, where I can expect them to be non-reactive in many other situations, whether it's skateboards, people coming by asking to pet the dogs and reaching their hand out before they ask, off-leash dogs. With this situation, I realized we hadn't built up a practice of it. Why go in with super heavy expectations? I think I would just set myself up for frustration and failure, possibly.
Yeah. And I feel like that would have been a frustrating walk, constantly like, hey, certain dog, like, I need you to do this or do that. And I feel like it would have been too much enforcement. And having like that relaxed, easygoing attitude definitely helps set it up for success. In terms of like physical factors, like creating a space, like there was a larger physical boundary. We obviously like parked a ways away from each other, and we gave I don't know, 20, 15 feet of distance maybe with our packs. Yeah, because we have some sensitive dogs, and that's like just something right off the bat as pack walkers. We want our dogs to trust that we're going to hold that space for them, literally and energetically. We're going to hold that space and make sure that they feel safe as well. And then with that routine, walking more than 1 day a week up to 5 days a week, we just, as we're traveling as a unit, as a pack going forward, we could align our packs together side by side and get closer and closer. And given a specific dog, Matthew might ask me, oh, can this dog that like is super solid, has been in my pack since the beginning, maybe like a dog like Dylan, she could walk up ahead and sniff a dog booty and then back off, and then the dogs in my pack are like, oh, okay, you sniffed, cool, no big deal, we're walking. And so we're still allowing them to express themselves. They can scent the air, they can scent the dogs briefly, but the main purpose is, hey, we're pack walking, we're moving from point A to B, and we're moving together. And it takes away that pressure of like, yeah, let's let all the dogs meet right off the bat. But what's a nice thing too is after some of those walks, we'd have some dogs loaded up in the van, hanging out with their water. We'd bring out a dog or two and let them socialize a little more as well. So
Yeah,
that was a fun thing
for
too.
me, it was really valuable to have dogs. I mean, I think one of the things that made it easiest was to have dogs. Say like Dylan, who's a 5 day a week dog. She's been walking with me since the Healing Pack days. She provides me so much information on dogs because I know her so well. So I know how she reacts to certain energies. So I can put her in a position and say, you know what, Dylan, like, let me know. Tell me about this dog. What do you think? Or other dog, and I have other dogs that do the same thing because I know how they react to certain energies. And for me, that's such an asset. To have a dog like that is such an asset, and that really helped bridge that physical gap, is to see her, because then I could say, okay, now let me put this dog in a position to say hi, and let me see what they have to tell me. How do they feel about this? Um, but I would say it was, I mean, it must have been a couple months
At
before,
least, yeah.
before we were doing, before we really put our dogs in each other's physical spaces. Also at that point, like, we were doing Tuesday walks consistently, so it was just one pack. Then I got like the Monday crew used to it, and then, so on and so forth, where it came to where it was like all the dogs had greeted, and I'd go, okay, they all know each other now. Like, we can start closing that gap, hanging out. And then now, I mean, we could probably trade dogs at this point. And, I'll be like, hey, let me walk so and so today. I want to see that one.
Yeah.
She'll take a dog and be like, let me see this dog. I'll say, hey, check this butthead out for me. What do you think?
Yeah. Yeah. So like that goes back to setting up a routine. We set up a routine, and it's about being consistent, and then eventually holding the dogs to that standard of I do ask for a certain level of check-ins, and there are some behaviors that are non-negotiable for the dog safety and comfort and ease of the pack walk, for it to be enjoyable.
Open doors, obviously. Open door doesn't mean jump out. We all know that, right? I think we all practice the same thing. Like, that was something on the first day where obviously it wasn't, there was no acceptable behavior of rushing that threshold.
Yeah.
Something that was maybe more acceptable was a dog being a little, being more expressive of their excitement. So I have like a tan pitty named Penny in my pack who got really excited and was like a little more whiny than she normally is. So I think I just let her kind of, I let that play out a little more. I watched her instead of saying, hey, quiet, try to work her through it a bit more.
Yeah. Or like for me, I have these really high drivey dogs. And so I get a lot of that pushy forward behavior of like, I want to go, go, go. These are working dogs. And so it's one of my favorite things. I do like all those like herding, working type breeds. And I do like, I do honor that, but I also have a level of like, okay, I get it. Like, we just started the walk. You're gonna have like that movement. You want to go, 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 but we're gonna take it easy. Like, well,
we have very distinctly different packs.
Oh, that too.
But and distinctly different, I think, styles of walking. Like she said, she's kind of go, 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 but then again, she has dogs that need to go, go, go.
Yeah.
She's got all these
They really do need it.
I got all these LA mutts that are like
lazy. The lazy dogs.
They're lazy. LA dogs. They don't want to go far. They're like conked out after a bit. And I think, we're opposite in that. Like, she wants to go, and I could be, my pack will be perfectly content to plop down for 20 minutes in the shade. So I think both of us walking together is having us adapt to one another's style and meet in the middle. My guys are getting in better shape.
Oh yeah.
Her pack is learning how to kind of just like slow down a bit. I'm very slow.
Yeah, how to slow down. Absolutely.
Because the same, I tell everyone, my clients, and I think people that know me know the same thing. I don't rush anything. Not in my personal life, not in my work life. I'm never thinking, oh man, I gotta go, or I have this amount of stuff to, like, I think there's all the time in the world to get done what I need to get done. And so it's the same thing with this. I never felt the need to rush our dogs getting close together, even if it would have created like a really cool pick. Like, I don't feel the need to rush into anything. So I was perfectly content to be like, yeah, we could do so-and-so today to greet in the very beginning. Oh, we can have so-and-so greet. And then now it's just, in my opinion, that's kind of the base of my success. People think it's like people will see me on the street and they go, "How do you do it?" And I say, "Well, for me, I think I do it by just being patient and working slow and paying attention to all the little micro behaviors that are happening and listen to my dogs with what they're telling me and the information that they give me about how they feel in certain situations."
Yeah.
And so the basis of my success is just being patient, not rushing anything, and taking the time, because I have all the time in the world. Like I'm not. I will probably never. I hate rushing, and so I don't do it.
Yeah.
That's the key.
Yeah. And it ended up being enjoyable. Like we'd spend, the dogs would get extra time, and being able to enjoy the sights, sounds, and smells of the outings that we take them, and just nurture and cultivate this easy flow with the dogs, because they understand the expectations. And then they just know, okay, well, they trust us. And from there, again, like we swap dogs, they get to have new experiences. I think of this older dog he has in his pack. We started to get a little bit of graying around his face, and you think like, all right, this older dog, his name's Parker. He was kind of a quiet, mellow guy prior to doing the pack walks together. And then something changed. This dog jumped to the front of his car and was like,
man,
I'm
breaking
pumped.
rules.
He's breaking rules. He's wiggling around like, look at this other pack, and he wants to play. And so something I really enjoyed that I got to see with Matthew's pack is he let Parker express himself completely. He wasn't like, hey, you gotta like cut that out immediately. He was like, hey, this dog has never showed this side before with me. I want to see what he's about. I'm gonna get information from him. And it's almost like this dog, I don't know, he like came out of his shell all over again.
Yeah. He was, because he had maybe like two friends in the pack that he was really into. But once we started walking, it was like, I think, he still is like that. He still gets really excited. He still gets so stoked, and it's like really, it was a fun thing for me to see, and that's why I can let that play out, because I'm glad that it's good energy at the end of the day. Also, it's good energy. I could let it pass. I could, it doesn't offend me. It makes me happy. I'm like, wow, like who knew that this guy was this social? I thought he was just kind of like gonna plod into retirement, a grumpy old guy, and it seems to have livened him up.
Yeah. It's been so rewarding, so sweet to see our packs, each dog individually, to see them enjoy this opportunity to have another pack to walk with, besides my sister's pack, and she walks with me. But it gives everyone more opportunities to socialize. And I think if anyone has the opportunity to join another pack walker, to take advantage of it, it doesn't hurt to reach out. I think it's a positive and experience for any pack walker if you can do that.
Yeah, if you have the right pack for it, if you have the dogs, if it's a good day. You know, and social dogs will like to meet other good, chill social dogs.
Yeah. So with that,
awesome, guys. I just wanted to real quick say, like, I've seen, I've met up with you and Matthew, I think a couple times now, and just want to say like how well behaved like your both your packs are, especially with a brand new pack just like coming into the scene. Say like when Madeline and myself show up at Griffith Park, and I'll sometimes get in my own head of like, oh man, like, are their dogs gonna be chill? Are my dogs gonna be chill? But it's like you've been practicing this for so long, and there's like this expectation between your packs of like, yeah, it's like we do this every day. It's not a big deal because you're putting in the work, right? And that's so apparent when I witness witness both of you walking your crew. So it was really awesome to just like witness both of you like totally in your zone, like in your power, like your dogs. That's like the beautiful thing, is like your dogs so well, so what's going to make them successful. You kind of know their quirks, which can is beautiful, whether they're excited or a little bit more aloof. And it's like you kind of are choosing like the energies that you want to associate with those dogs. I had a follow-up question with that, and it totally just it totally just went past my mind here. But oh, what I was going to say is, what advice would you give someone who say they have a pack and they want to meet up with someone? What are maybe like some key things to maybe check in with, maybe themselves, with the other walker? What would you suggest before meeting up for an actual like pack meetup?
Ooh, good question.
Cognitive
You go
dissonance
first.
is not good. So if you're gonna go in, make sure your intentions are set and you believe in them.
Mm-hmm.
And then understand the expectations you have of yourself and of your dogs. And just be consistent, I think. Practically speaking, there's all sorts of other things like, yeah, park far apart from one another. Take your time unloading.
Yeah.
Slowly close the gap. Don't force a greeting, you know. But I think a lot of the pre-work is just it's up here. It's
Setting the tone.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I
absolutely.
with that, have that conversation with the fellow professional, and like address and assert your needs, what you're comfortable with, what are your non-negotiables. Like, oh, I'm just gonna, like, just as a heads up, I'm gonna do XYZ so that I'm comfortable, the dogs are comfortable, and get that communicated before the walk, whether it's on a phone call, text, DM on Instagram, whatever it is. Get that squared off right away.
It's probably not the place to put yourself in an uncomfortable position because then the dogs are going to feel that you're in discomfort, and that probably wouldn't be an equation for success.
Yeah.
So just do what makes you comfortable.
I love that. Love that. Yeah. Something else came to mind, and what was it? I wanted to just like comment on what you said, Matthew, about kind of letting your dogs like express themselves. Because I know me back in the day, it was like, a little bit more, I don't want to say like ruling with an iron fist, but it's like, don't make me look bad by getting excited and like this and that. I now have like shifted that mindset too, of like letting the dogs kind of be more expressive. And if they get a little excited here and there, and like they're dogs, they're going to react. And I think that's like such a important thing to like take notice. It's like at the end of the day, dogs are dogs, and they're gonna respond in a way that feels good to them, whether it's like an excited approach or a more calm approach, but just like honoring where that dog is at, and not having so much frustration around like, oh, they broke the line, because at the end of the day, it's like you want them to be social, you want them to interact. And I love that you guys kind of swap back and forth too with your packs and different dogs.
Yeah, and that kind of goes also in like knowing our dogs. Like, if I have a dog that comes out 2 days a week displaying certain behaviors, I'm gonna think, well, what is this dog practicing the other 5 days a week with their owners?
Yeah.
And how realistic is it of me to ask X of this dog if at home it's living a completely different life, which I think for the most part a lot of our dogs live totally different lives at home. And some dogs transition to the structured pack walk easier than others. So there's a lot of factors that I take into account when I'm setting expectations for certain dogs. That's something for me that's really important, and understanding what I'm asking of a dog and why I'm asking it.
Right. And so anyone on this call, if you feel like you have a question to ask, I'm going to make it so you can unmute yourselves. Feel free to chime in, ask these two any questions around what they do, whether it's, anything pack walk related or, meeting up with other pack walkers. You can also sound off in the chat as well. I'll give
What's the thing about, our packs kind of joining that happened? I think a couple weeks ago, we do this trail at JPL, and typically, right, we don't want our dogs to be reactive, but any dog comes to us on a given day with a certain energy level, and we're going to meet them where they're at on that day. And I think there was a day where we were able to see so her sister Diane joins us, so it's three of us, there's maybe 30 dogs, and one of my dogs, there's we had a couple pass-bys on this trail, but this one really particular eyeing, German Shepherd passed us pretty intensely and set off one of my dogs. my dog kind of reacted, and it was this chain reaction of reactions to this one dog. But what's really interesting is I felt that, one thing that I feel is like, if we are going to react, if we do it as a pack, I kind of don't mind it that much. In all honesty, I don't mind it too much because we're doing it as a pack. As long as there's no redirecting, I can let something like that slide without too much correction. I don't necessarily want them to react, but if they do, it's not the biggest deal to me because I'm like, well, we're a team. And like this, that to me showed kind of the cohesion that has occurred between our packs. Yeah.
All right. Yeah, I wanted to ask you a quick question. So you guys are speaking a lot about like there's some non-negotiables that you have. Like there's a level of expressiveness that, is acceptable to you when the packs are integrating. And like, can you talk a little bit more about like what are some hard non-negotiables of like, regardless of what's going on, environment, et cetera, things that are really important for you to prioritize as far as the dog behavior goes?
To start that, a very strong non-negotiable, and I think Matthew may have briefly touched on it, is the car behavior etiquette. When that door is open, to not jump out. That's a big one from a safety perspective. So that might mean for me in my van, dogs are safely tethered or they're in a car crate. It really just depends what I feel comfortable with that each individual dog. And so that's, I would say, to reiterate, the unloading process for me.
One thing I think that's important that has also led to our success is not allowing dogs to rush each other during greetings. Maria said we create a space for our dogs. We hold that space and let them know, like, we got you. We're not going to let anyone come and step on your toes. And so if I was doing a greeting with a certain dog, like, I'm not going to let my dog rush a dog's butt or a dog's face. Well, we've turned that temperature up very slowly, and we bridge that gap very slowly. And if I did see a dog doing that, that's just non-negotiable. We're not going to rush dogs, especially on a first greeting. We all know that. Yeah.
Yeah.
There's probably more. Think about it, but
again, like
that comes to mind. That's like a big one that comes to my mind. Door space. Yeah. Don't rush dogs.
But he mentioned that minor reaction that his dog had, like, that's acceptable. I understand that dogs will have these emotions, and then you have a behavior from the emotion. So again, if it's a dog that we've had in the pack and we understand what their response is, a minor reaction where they look and they bark, again, we don't take these high management dogs where they're at this level 1000 of intense reacting, and we know they're not the kind of dog that are going to redirect onto the handler or to another dog. It's just an instance where, like, hey, I know this dog needs to express that emotion. It's not about suppressing. It's about, like, letting them get that out there. But what I look for is recovery time. Like, they literally shake it off. They check in and they're like, let's keep moving. Like, I know I had a big moment, but we've passed it. We're back in sync with the pack, and we're moving forward.
Yeah, that happens a lot of times. I'm sure you guys, all the other pack walkers out there, get the same comment when people go, your dogs are so calm. And I go, right now we're having a good moment, but some days
yeah.
And for me, as long as we can always work our way back down to that base level energy, I'm happy because, I get excited too. Maybe someone comes up and I get mad. Maybe an off-leash dog rushes us and I need to elevate my energy to push it off or to kick some other dog away. That happened at Griffith Park once. But it's like, these things happen. But as long as we can return to that base level, I feel pretty good.
Yeah.
Awesome. Kara asks in the chat, do you let people come up to your pack to say hello?
Good question.
We get at that. I'm sure everyone gets that. Can I pet your dogs?
We had a herd of 40 middle school kids on a hiking trail pass us. And I really looked up to Matthew. Something I learned was to be short and direct, because he told these kids, can I pet? He's like, no touching. No. And for me, I fall into—
you can't waste time with kids.
I fall into like the repertoire of like, oh, hey, right now's not a good time because they're training, I'm walking.
They're
this is,
already
like,
petting the dog
already,
at that
like,
point.
so many seconds have passed. Like, it's just, you have to be direct and be like, no, no touching.
Kids are like
Go.
dogs. They're like dogs sometimes. You got to be quick,
Yeah.
quick and short. You have a small
Yeah.
window to correct them.
But I am totally cool. Like, I know people will record. I know they will take pictures. So I give them a friendly wave, a hello. If anything, like, I'll tell people like, hey, thanks for asking, but like, don't get any closer. Stay right there. You can say hi by standing here.
Now, I have had, when I
Yeah.
was walking in Hancock Park, there are people there that I get to know. And so there was one elder couple, and I see them all the time. And I actually would let the woman come up and stand close to my pack. And eventually I would let dogs approach her to get pets. But it's because I can see that my dogs are chill and they're not threatened by this woman's energy. She's super chill. So something like that, if it's built up over time, I'm like, well, my dogs know this lady now. She knows my dogs. She clearly isn't like setting them off. So I have no problem with that kind of thing happening. But generally speaking, when random people show up wanting to pet dogs, I think we all say the same thing.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree. I've been
Pet
down
the
that
dog,
route
and those are
so
not
many
all-
times.
And they're not for sale.
And they're not for sale.
Yep. Amazing. Let's see. Anyone else? Anybody else have any questions for Matthew and Maria?
Hi, my name is Shauna, and I'm a client of Jesse's at the Perfect Pack Niagara. And I am not a dog walker, except I walk my own dogs occasionally, but she takes care of them. And I have just been so thrilled to be involved in this because as a retired special ed teacher, I find so much of this has been relevant through my whole career. And just listening to all of you discuss these things and taking notes on it, and it's like it doesn't matter if it's a child or a dog, they all kind of fit together. And I learned so much from Jessie and her pack. And even today when she came to pick up my Scout, she I looked at him and he was really calm and I was really calm and I knew the energy was good. So I just let him out the front door knowing that he would just be going right to the van because he knows when she arrives. And it's just fascinating. And I've learned so much from all of you about just checking my own energy and realizing that my energy can change, kids, my dogs, my child, the whole thing. So it's been great, and I thank you for allowing me to be involved in this because it's wonderful.
Yeah.
Oh, that's amazing.
awesome.
That's amazing.
Yeah, I think as humans, we've our language has gotten so developed that we forget to check in with our body language. We forget to check in the other ways that we're communicating with one another, just simply because we're talking too much. But there's all these unspoken things that, dogs are picking up on so much of what we're going through that sometimes we miss or we suppress even.
Well, and absolutely. And I think back to the kids. I used to teach kids with severe autism, and communication was maybe one word. And it was direct and it was firm, and it's exactly the same kind of techniques that everybody's using for walking their packs. You just have to, less is more, with especially with communication.
Yeah.
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 Oh,
Anyway,
thank you.
my 2 cents worth.
No,
Thank
well
you.
said, Shauna. Thank you. All right. Anyone else? Going once, going twice? Let's see, I'm just going to check the chat. All right. Well, I think that might be it, guys. Thank you so much for sharing just a little bit about like who you are, what you do, and how you move with your packs. I definitely got something out of it today. So thank you so much for being on this call, devoting your time today. Yeah, can't wait to, continue this journey as the week unfolds. Tomorrow I am up to bat. I'm going to be starting my section at 5 p.m. So if y'all got nothing to do, feel free to tune in. I'm going to be talking about taking your dog to the dog park and all the fun that goes with it. I'm going to be doing something a little bit different. I have a some pre-recorded footage that I'm going to be kind of breaking down for you all. So if you can make it, love to have you on. And it's going to be kind of like an open discussion at the end of the call. So feel free to sound off in the chats with any questions that you might have. And then I'll kind of leave it a little bit open after the video has completed, just to have some like one-on-one conversations if need be. But anyway, guys, thank you so much for tuning in today. Enjoy the rest of your evening, and until tomorrow, we'll see. Until then, we'll see you then, and take care. Bye, guys.
Thanks for the opportunity.
Absolutely.